Hi, Timothy Carlson here. Top Gun is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's certainly the one I've seen more than any others. The shirt I've got on right now is probably a pretty good indicator of how much I love Top Gun. Over the years, there have been many releases of the Top Gun soundtrack, but the complete score for the movie, composed by Harold Faltermeyer, has never gotten an official CD release. Until now, courtesy of niche label La La Land. I finally managed to get my hands on this CD that came out last year in limited quantities. This is Top Gun, music from the motion picture, composed by Harold Faltermeyer. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. So nice close-up there. You got Tom Cruise as Maverick, Kelly McGillis as Charlie. Always going to be iconic art. And there you got the limited edition moniker in the spine there. There's the spine of the CD case. Nice Top Gun logo there. On the back, we have the track list. This consists of 2 CDs. CD 1's got a nice shot of Maverick there. CD 1 is largely the Harold Faltermeyer score. This 2, which is largely the original soundtrack plus some additional tracks, has a shot of Charlie and Maverick kissing. In the back, we got the nice promo shot of Maverick giving the thumbs up with the American flag in the background. We do got a pretty decent sized booklet in here, so let's take a look at that. Again, there's that cover art from earlier. There's also a shot on the back here of Mav and Charlie hanging out together. I don't think I've ever actually seen this image before. It's not from the film, and I've never seen it like on the back of older soundtrack releases or anything, so not sure where that came from, but again, I don't think I've ever seen that image before. There's a nice lengthy essay in here by someone named Tim Grieving. And I'm going to go through here and just show the art from each page. Normally when I go through booklets with releases, I don't show every page, but I'm making an exception this time because Top Gun is sacred to me. And I think this image with Charlie in front of the Top Gun class, that might be a composite image because I don't think I've ever seen that from that angle before either. Then you have all the song credits and so forth in the back here. So before we get down to business, a little bit of history on the Top Gun soundtrack. The soundtrack originally came out in 1986, around the same time the film came out. The original soundtrack had 10 tracks on it, 9 of which were songs for the soundtrack, and then the last one of which was a piece of score. We had Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick, Playing with the Boys by Kenny Loggins, Lead Me On by Tina Marie, Take My Breath Away, the love theme from Top Gun by Berlin, Hot Summer Nights by Miami Sound Machine, Heaven in Your Eyes by Loverboy, Through the Fire by Larry Green, Destination Unknown by Marietta, and then the one score track we had on the original soundtrack was the Top Gun Anthem by Harold Faltermeyer featuring guitarist Steve Stevens. Steve Stevens, of course, best known for being Billy Idol's guitar player. The movie, of course, had a lot more score that never made it onto the CD, and the original soundtrack did not include the licensed music, which consisted of a few oldies. You Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers, Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis, and Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. In 1999, the Top Gun soundtrack was reissued on CD. This added in those 3 golden oldies, but it also added one more piece of the score, the track Memories by Harold Faltermeyer, and it also added an extended dance mix of Playing with the Boys. There was also a later reissue of the soundtrack that had those same 15 tracks from the 1999 reissue, but it added 5 random 80s bonus tracks that had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Top Gun. Understandably, those songs are not included here because they have no relation to the movie whatsoever. At some point, there was a CD making its rounds online that billed itself as a score CD. This may or may not have been a bootleg. I'm not totally sure, but I'm leaning toward it probably was. And that was one of the few ways you could actually get some of the other score tracks. So for years and years, the Top Gun soundtrack, specifically its score, have been long fabled. There was also a track released in 1986 from the movie called Radar Radio by Giorgio Moroder and Joe Pizzullo, which was only available as a B-side on the Take My Breath Away 7-inch single. That song never appeared on any release of the soundtrack. So again, if you wanted to try to get Harold Faltermeyer's score for Top Gun, that's been no easy task. There's even a lot of people on YouTube who doctor audio files from the movie trying to remove all the sound effects and voices. That's how desperate people are to try to get the Top Gun score. This release from La La Land promises to be the be-all, end-all when it comes to the Top Gun soundtrack on CD, bringing us the score as well. So what do we have on this particular CD exactly? So here's a look at the back of the CD. Disc 1 is all of the score tracks. Some of them are combined into like multi-part suites. And then there's some bonus tracks at the end. These are early demo versions of the Top Gun theme, or Top Gun anthem, whatever you prefer to call it. Disc 2 has the 15 songs from the 1999 Top Gun soundtrack reissue on CD, but it also adds in the instrumental Dogfight 3 by Harold Faltermeyer. And then finally, at long last on CD, it actually includes Radar Radio. That song appearing in the movie for only about 5 seconds or so, but I always wondered if it would ever be made available on a digital format. There's also 2 unused demo tracks near the bottom, and we also get an extended version of the Top Gun anthem on there as well. It's only extended by, a few extra seconds in the bridge section, but having listened to the song so many times, I certainly notice when something's been changed or added to it. So, is this the most comprehensive release of Top Gun music on a format ever? Without question. Unfortunately, it's not quite a perfect release. First of all, like I said, a lot of the tracks in the score section are combined into lengthy multi-suite pieces. I don't know why they couldn't just make these separate tracks. That would have been a little more convenient in that regard. But the biggest offender is that there are actually some pieces of music that are missing. First of all, it does not include the song Stranger Eyes by the Cars. This song's not actually in the movie, but it is in the original trailer for the movie, so it really should have been included here for completeness' sake. Also missing is a brief instrumental from the opening dogfight sequence, which was actually taken from Harold Faltermeyer's earlier score from the film Thief of Hearts. That scene was temp tracked to older music, but Faltermeyer ended up just liking the way it sounded, so they kept that in the movie. That piece of music, again, is not on this CD. Thief of Hearts being one of the very few bombs from Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. Also missing are any tracks where the cast are singing. So Maverick and his flying buddies singing You Lost That Lovin' Feeling is not to be found here, nor is Anthony Edwards singing Great Balls of Fire in the bar. The original versions of those songs, of course, appear on the soundtrack CD because they've been on every version since the 1999 reissue. That might sound like a middling omission, but the Top Gun Maverick soundtrack has Miles Teller singing Great Balls of Fire, so I don't really think including that is that big of a stretch. Another thing I did notice is that the Viper's House 2 suite, or Goose's Death, Goodbye Goose, as it's called on that other soundtrack score CD that's likely a bootleg. The version that's on the other potentially bootleg CD and the version that's in the film has a lot more sound effects near the end and some synthesized noise that might be like a digitalized voice or something, and that's not on here, so that's a little strange. Those issues aside, this is a very good, very comprehensive package. Because this is a limited edition of 5,000 units, people are really price gouging for these. I mean, I've seen these go for over $100 on Amazon. And there were some early releases. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of this release until much later after it happened. But some of those early CDs had Harold Faltermeyer's autograph on it. Unfortunately, I was not able to get one of the Faltermeyer autographed copies. That would have been cool, being the big Top Gun fan that I am. But I'm just happy to have the good majority of the score on a CD at long last. So, if you are a fan of Top Gun, this is an absolute must-own release. You might want to look around and just see if you can find it for a decent price. I found one on Amazon for about $50, which is honestly not terrible given what some of these have gone for on eBay in recent months. Again, it's a flawed release that is missing a few pieces of music, but overall, being the diehard Top Gun fan that I am, I had to get my hands on this, and overall, I'm very impressed. On a scale ranging from Slider You Stink being the worst possible score, and You Can Be My Wingman Anytime being the best possible score, this one at least ranks a pretty solid, damn, this kid's good. So I can give this a very high recommendation if you are a fan of Top Gun, but again, you might want to shop around and try to get the best deal. How about you? Are you a fan of Top Gun? Do you think it's the best musical score ever composed by Harold Faltermeyer? Are you glad to finally see that there's a CD release of this material? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.